Hi, this is Scott with eTrailer. Today we're taking a look at and installing our Pacbrake Alpha XD airbags on our 2021 Ford F-350. So our neighbor today has a fifth wheel set up in the back of his truck, and he wanted a way where he could level out the back of his truck when he has heavy trailer on the back. So we decided to get this airbag set up for his. Now this is a really nice heavy duty setup, and it's capable of 7,500 pounds. So it's gonna be really heavy duty, and it's gonna handle the load that he's gonna be putting in the back of his truck. Another nice thing that these are good for, you can do a lot more with them than just hauling trailers around. Say you haul a lot of heavy loads in the back and your truck ends up squatting a little bit, these airbags are gonna help fix that so you kind of level out, and it'll also help level out where your headlights are shining when you're going down the road. So say you get a heavy load in the back and it's squatting down, that's gonna make your headlights shine upward. Well, this will help you get leveled out and have everything riding better going down the road as well. Now keep in mind with these airbags, one of the things you want to do is make sure you keep your bags at the minimum pressure, which is 5 pounds on these, and that's going to keep your bags from getting pinched and keep them in really good shape. Now these are convoluted, and these will have an internal jounce bumper in them, so that kind of helps out with heavy loads as well when you don't have a lot of air pressure in your bags, or maybe you're just going down a bumpy road. Something I noticed with this kit that I really like is how heavy duty these brackets and all the plates that come with the kit are. This is going to have a hammer tone finish, and as you can see, these brackets are really thick and they don't have any bend or give in them at all. So it's going to hold up to a lot of heavy duty use, and also with the coating, it's going to hold up against corrosion for a very long time. And one of the nice things with these airbags is they're going to have aluminum plates on both ends. So that's going to hold up really well over time. Now here on the back of our vehicle, you can see where our little air fitting is, and we have ours set up to be a single pass setup. Now you can do a double where you can independently adjust your bags, but our neighbor wanted his to be set up with just single pass. Now our neighbor also got a compressor on his today, which he can set up to where he has air on the fly when he's going down the road. He can change his pressure anytime he wants, and I do recommend that setup if you plan on using these a lot. It really is helpful. Other than that, you can always use your compressor at home with your air fittings on the back or at a gas station when you're going down the road. Now, if you have any questions or comments about these airbags for your F-350, feel free to get hold of one of our experts here at eTrailer, or you can leave a question or comment down below in the comment section. Now, as far as installation goes for these, it can be pretty tricky and time consuming, especially if you're doing the air compressor with it. So if it's something you don't have time to do yourself, or you don't have the space and really the ability to lift your heavy truck, you can always take a look at our dealer locator and get something done for you locally. If it's something you feel like tackling yourself, stick around, watch our video, and we'll help you get it installed. To start our installation, the first thing I want to do is we're going to have our factory bump stop up in here, and we're going to have two 15mm nuts on this. We're going to have one here and then one up in the front. To keep in mind, when you take this off, you want to leave the studs in the clips that holds them studs in place, because we're going to be reusing those studs, and also don't lose the nuts because we're going to be reusing those as well. Now I'm just going to take my 15mm socket and get that removed. Now what we want to do is start getting our bags put together, and what we're going to do is we're going to bench build this. So in our kit we're going to have these hats, and what we want to do is we're going to have our side that we're going to have a threaded hole. We want to line up our holes in the top of that. Now in our kit we're going to take our plate, and as you can see we're going to have countersunk holes on one side, and we're going to have this cutout. We want this cutout to go where our air inlet is going to go. Let's get that lined up. Now we're going to have these bolts that are conical. Just want to get those started in, just finger tight for now. And just run them down as far as you can by hand. Now I'll just take my 7/32 Allen key and I'm going to torque these down to the specifications listed in my instruction manual. Now if you don't have a torque wrench, you can pick one up here at eTrailer. We do have a few options available, or you can take a look at your auto parts store and you should be able to rent one there. Now that we have that on, we'll come back through with our airline fitting and we'll just get that into the top, and we're going to go down finger tight with that. Now we have that tight. I'm going to turn my nozzle where I have it as a reference point. Now this will swivel. Now what I want to do is tighten this down 1.5 turns. Well, we'll start doing that now. We got it. That'll be 1 full turn. That will be a 1/2. Now one of the things that we're using is a transmission jack to help lift up the back of our vehicle, so that way it gives us a little bit of room between our frame and our rear end, so we're going to have room to get our assembly in place. Now if you don't have one of those, you could always just use a jack or something like that and just jack up on your receiver or what do you have on the back of it, just to kind of give you a little room. But now what we want to do is we're going to take this bracket. We're going to have this bracket with the holes in it, and we're going to have this other part that we have in our kit. And as you can see, when these come together, they kind of match up. So what we need to do is get it put in place and see what we're going to have for clearance. Now we'll just take our lower bracket, and as you can see, we want these ears that come out to be touching our factory U-bolts. Now we'll just take our upper bracket and slide that over top, and we want to be able to get these holes lined up to where our bracket combination is at its lowest point. So we're going to use these 2 top holes on our bracket, and now we'll go get them mounted to our bag. Now we'll take another one of our plates and we're just going to get it lined up with the holes like we did our other side. Now we'll take this bracket and make sure you check the orientation in your instructions. You want to make sure you have this correct, and this is the way we have it. We have our opening, we have our rounded end. Now we're just going to line up the holes. Now we're going to have our hex bolts, a lock washer, and a flat washer. We'll have 2 of those for this side. And for now, we'll just leave these finger tight because we're going to want to have a little bit of adjustment once we start getting our bag in place. We just want to be able to slide it around back and forth, and that's going to help us get it all set in place where we want it. We're going to have these longer bolts, and we're just going to use a flat washer, and we're going to come in from the inside of our mount out. Now that we have those in place, we'll come back through with our nylock nuts and get those set up finger tight. With all of our hardware in place, all I'm going to do now is just get everything snugged down. We can come back through now and torque down all of our hardware to the specifications listed in our instruction manual. To make getting our bag put in place a little bit easier, we're going to end up pushing it down and compressing it some, and we're going to push the air out. And what I have is I have a piece of spare line with an end on it that I just have laying around. And what I'm going to use this for is I'm going to use this to go in our air inlet fitting after we get it pushed down, and that's going to keep it compressed until we can get this pushed in place. Now with this extra set of hands, I'm going to have Aiden help me push this down, and we're going to get it compressed as much as we can. Now we can push our line in place. Okay, that should hold it compressed some so we can get it maneuvered into place a little bit easier. We have this bracket that's going to mount up to our frame, and we're going to have these nuts that are in our kit. It's going to fit down into this slot and have a square. We just want to get those put down in place. Now we'll take our bracket and it's going to have these ears on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our factory nuts, and we're going to come up underneath, make sure those bolts stay in place. And when you're doing this, make sure you don't have any wires or anything that you're going to pinch once you get this run up next to your frame. Now we're just going to push that up, and we want to make sure that our ears that are on the inside of our frame are up against our frame and touching. So now I'll just take the factory nuts and just get those started. And that'll hold our bracket in place. Now right now we don't really have to worry about the ears not sitting against it, but when we come back through and get these tightened down, I like to hold these up against tight and then tighten these down so I make sure that we're making good contact with the frame. Now that I have my bracket held up in place, all I'm going to do is just come back through and just snug down my hardware while I'm pushing my plate and the ears up against the frame. With everything snug down, we'll come back through and torque down our factory nuts to the specifications listed in our instruction manual. Now we can get our bag lifted into place, and this is where compressing your bag a little bit is really going to help out. You are going to have to get around some brake lines, and on your other side you'll have to get around some exhaust. So just be careful with those when you're lifting everything into place, and just be patient. You will get it set up in there. Can be a little bit tricky. We want our tabs to be facing towards our leaf spring side. I do recommend having an extra set of hands or two to help you wrestle this into place. We did have to fight with it a little bit just to get it to go. These bags are really strong, so it is a little tricky. Now we just want to get all of our holes lined up for our bracket. So we're going to have to pull that down once again. Just get everything to line up and go into place. We're going to want to get our factory studs and nut on the inside of this silver hat, and then we're going to come back through with our nylock nuts and just run them up finger tight just to hold everything in place for now. With everything in place where we want it, we want to make sure our bottom bracket goes up against our factory U-bolt on our springs. Now we'll just come back through with our hardware, and we'll take our long carriage bolts and we'll get that put in front and back. We're going to have this little band clamp that's going to go up underneath of our rear end here, and all we want to do is just, for now, we're just going to start on our nylock nuts on both sides of this. Just leave those loose for now. After we do that, we're going to come back through with our U-bolt, and we're going to go around the outside of our leaf spring. We're just going to swing that up in and through, and slide each end in through our bracket. Now we'll just get our hardware on our U-bolt that goes around our spring as well. Now for hardware, we're going to just go back and forth. We're going to tighten one side and then the other and just evenly draw that up. And we're going to do that with both sets of our hardware for this one. And then after that, we're going to come back through and we'll tighten down all of our hardware to the specifications listed in our instruction manual. Now when it comes to running our airline for our bags, there's a couple different ways we can do this. The way we have it set up here is with this line, we can actually run two of our air inlets in but our neighbor wants us to run one air inlet coming into the bags. So what we're going to do is, if we wanted to run it with two, all we'd have to do is just match these up and then run all the way down our line. Just grab it on, holding on. And then we get to the end of our line and we can cut this right in half, and then we can route those from the back to our bags and then trim them up as we go. Now when we're doing that, all we have to do is we have our line cutters that comes with it, and these work really good. I actually use a set of these when I'm doing other line. So now all we have to do is just put that in our cutter. It's going to make a nice 90-degree cut. Give it a little cut, and what we're looking for is a nice clean cut to push into the fittings on our bag. So the way our neighbor's going to have theirs set up is they're going to have an air compressor on board here with theirs. So what we're going to do is we're going to set it up to where we're going to have a line that comes from our compressor. It's going to be a single line that comes out, and that's going to air up both of our bags. We're going to run that back down our frame, and then we're going to come to a T, and that's going to run into one of our lines that goes to one of our bags, and that's going to supply air to the other side of our airbag, so it'll supply both. Then we'll have a line that runs all the way back to the back, and it'll end up back here, and we're going to end up having it on the back of our bumper, and we'll be able to get air into our system with just one airline inlet on the rear. Now, we ran our air lines from our compressor. This is the way we set ours up today. You may just do it without the compressor, but we just ran our lines down the frame, and we ended up coming up over our gas tank on this side, and we teed in and ended up running over to our bag on our driver's side. So we got hooked up there, and then we ended up coming over from our T over to our passenger side bag, and then ended up running down our frame all the way towards our back bumper and tied off all the way across. And when you're running your lines, one of the main things you got to make sure and keep an eye on is that you're running them where they're not going to make any contact with any moving parts like your drive shaft, your suspension components, and you also want to keep them away from exhaust. After we have everything all connected and set up, what we want to do is run our compressor or air up our air fitting in the back, and we want to get about 30-40 pounds in our bags, and then we'll come back through and check all of our fittings with a little bit of soapy water. All I have is some water with some dish soap mixed in it, and we'll come back through and spray all of our fittings and make sure we don't see any bubbles coming out. And if you do end up seeing a little bit of some bubbles coming out, all you'll have to do is just pull that line back off and then make another clean cut, make sure your line is clean, and then pop it back into the fitting. Once you have all that done, that'll do it for our installation of our Pacbrake bags on our 2021 Ford F-350 Super Duty. I'm Scott with eTrailer, and thanks for watching.